Welcome to Aquarian Diary, where we discuss issues around the emerging age of Aquarius. I'm your host, John Irving. Thank you for joining me. Hi everyone, it is Thursday, January 20th, 2022. This is going to be short. I just happened to stumble across something recently and wanted to share it with you because I thought people might find it very interesting and potentially encouraging. Lately, I've been doing a deep dive into the roots and causes of the phenomenon of populism and its close kin, fascism. And whilst doing this research, I came across a report on the website of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, describing how support for populism has declined fairly substantially since the beginning of the pandemic. It states, support for populist parties and politicians and agreement with populist sentiment has diminished during the pandemic according to a mega dataset taking in attitudes of over 500,000 people across 109 countries since 2020. A University of Cambridge team says there are clear signs of a turning tide for the populist wave as the mishandling of coronavirus by populist leaders, along with a desire for stability and a decline in polarizing attitudes resulting from the pandemic, starts to move public opinion. The authors of the new report from Cambridge Center for the Future of Democracy, CFD, described the study as the first global overview of how the COVID-19 crisis has affected political beliefs. They say that the threats posed by the pandemic saw a technocratic shift in political authority worldwide, with increased trust in government and in experts as scientists and civil servants, yet faith in the democratic process continues to falter. The story of politics in recent years has been the emergence of anti-establishment politicians who thrive on the growing distrust of experts, said Roberto Foa, co-director of the CFD and the expert's lead author. From Erdogan to Bolsonaro to the strongmen of Eastern Europe, the planet has experienced a wave of political populism. COVID-19 may have caused that wave to crest. Electoral support for populist parties has collapsed around the world in a way that we don't see from more mainstream politicians. There is strong evidence that the pandemic has severely blunted the rise of populism, said Foa. A little later on, the report continues. On average, populist leaders have seen a 10% point drop between the spring of 2020 and the last quarter of 2021, while ratings for non-populists, on average, returned to around pre-pandemic levels. Now, I find this very interesting because, of course, if you're watching the screen, you'll see why people may be turning to distrust populists, principally because of their idiotic views about how to deal with a global pandemic, which has resulted in countless unnecessary deaths. This report suggests that there is still a lot of division and polarization, particularly in the United States, and as I am preparing to publish this, I have not yet seen it referenced anywhere else yet. When this pandemic first struck, I was kind of in a state of shock because nobody saw this coming. And it didn't make any rational sense to me. Why would we be having a global pandemic right now at this point in human history with so many critical things on the line? And at the time, as I've said before, I was extremely concerned about the rise of populists and the rise of fascistic movements in many countries around the globe, principally the United States of America. More on that later. Karma seems to be coming back around, finally, but for a while there, it didn't actually look like that was going to happen. And so then I thought, well, was this sort of divinely orchestrated? Was this whole pandemic to basically blunt the rise of populism and fascism? Because it sure made them all look like the total idiots they are. For those of us who are reality-based, we were kind of in a state of shock and awe about how this could be occurring, how we could have all of these leaders who were completely detached from reality. Anyway, I wanted to just share this with you. Just consider the possibility that this pandemic, in some ways, was a blessing for humanity. As I discussed in my episode on why Spirit is intervening now, we are at a critical juncture, a critical turning point, and the pandemic may have steered us off the edge of a cliff and nobody realized it. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for your comments, likes, shares, subscribes. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.